Welcome back. So now we are in a position to understand this concept. One more concept again flows out of second law of thermodynamics. It is available energy. What is available energy? Available energy is the maximum work that can be obtained from a given amount of heat. Right? Maximum work that can be obtained from a given amount of heat. Now, I just told you that in the previous I said that heat is a low grade energy, work, mechanical energy is a high grade energy. So essentially it's conversion of heat into work. So low grade energy into high grade energy. And what is available energy? Available energy is the maximum work that can be obtained from a given amount of heat. That is the maximum, that is called as available energy. So if there is available energy, say 100, that in the form of heat, 100 kilojoules, right? So what is the maximum, theoretically maximum, not practically maximum, but theoretically maximum heat that can be converted into work? Suppose the answer is 40. Then, although heat available is 100, available energy is just 40, because only 40 can be converted into mechanical work or work, right? So heat into work. So that is available energy. Remaining 60, that is unavailable energy, which cannot be converted into work, which will be left as heat itself. Now let me explain this in a with the example with which we are familiar. Let's say that let's consider a source, right? And let's call this T. T is the temperature of the source. And let's say there is sink, and sink is temperature, let's say T naught. So T and T naught. This is the temperature gradient we have. This is source temperature, this is sink temperature. Now let's say source is something which gives out heat. Let's say it gives certain amount of heat, right? In a given amount of time, it is giving certain amount of heat. Now you want to find out how much of it is available energy. That means what is the maximum amount of heat of the given amount of heat that can be converted into work? That is available energy. Now this is, we want to find out theoretical maximum. That means we have to, if we want to find out available energy, let's say it is capable of giving out heat, let's say it is Q1 we can say 100 kilojoules, whatever, Q1 amount of heat, how much of that can be converted into work? And that should be maximum conversion. That means obviously you have to run Carnot engine, right? Remember, recollect Carnot theorem. Carnot theorem tells that for a given temperature difference of different engines which can be run within the same temperature difference, Carnot engine will have maximum efficiency. That means it can convert maximum heat into work, right? So if you want to find out available energy of this given amount of heat which the source is capable of supplying, you have to run Carnot engine, right? So let's imagine that we are running a Carnot engine between these two temperature limits. So Q1 is the heat supply. So so this is your Carnot engine. You get, this is W max. Because this is Carnot engine, I will call this maximum work. Obviously, although it is Carnot, I will write this as T here and T naught here, because that simplifies the things. Okay. So you know that second law is applicable to Carnot engine also. Even Carnot engines don't violate second law, right? So there has to be some heat rejected. So heat engine, even Carnot engine, which is working in cycle, cannot convert all the heat given to it into work, right? It will convert maximum, but there will be some heat rejection. So let's say this is Q2 and this is your heat rejection. Now this W max is the work output, which is essentially available energy, AE, A dot E. And this Q2 which is rejected, now we will call this as unavailable energy, which is unavailable energy, right? Now we have just redefined this, reframed it rather, that W max is available energy. I would like you to, now let's draw this, represent this cycle on a TS plane, which we have already done, but let me do it here again. So this is Ts. Consider this process, there is heat addition, okay, and you know this is Carnot engine. I will write this R here, reversible engine, which is Carnot engine. Heat transfer is taking place reversibly, and what we are showing here is the process lines for the working substance of this imaginary engine, okay. So when heat is added reversibly. That means this temperature of the source is T. Obviously the working substance will also be receiving it at T, because there is infinitesimal temperature difference, because heat addition is reversible. So heat addition, when heat is added to working substance, what will happen to entropy? Entropy will increase. Temperature will be T. Temperature of the working substance will be T. So the process lines here I am drawing is that of the working substance. So when heat is added, let's say this is the process line. Entropy is increasing, and the temperature here, let's say this temperature, let's say T, right? Because this is Ts plane, so this is T, okay? And then of course there is work output, right? So expansion, reversible adiabatic expansion, it's a isentropic expansion. Carnot engine, you should recollect. So this is here. Then heat is rejected to the sink, which is at T naught, okay. So its heat is rejected, that means entropy of this working substance will decrease, but the temperature of the working substance will be exactly equal to T naught, because it has to be infinitesimally higher than T naught. That means it's essentially T naught. So this is, and again there is some work input, so you have the work, the system goes back to initial state. So this is, and this is T naught, okay. So T naught. So this cycle is operating between T and T naught. Now see, so this is your entire process. Now look at this. This is 1 to 2. 1 to 2 is heat addition, and that is given by area under that process line. 1 to 2 process line. So what is this? This is entire thing, right? So this entire area is Q1, okay, Q1. And if you consider that the entropy change here is delta S, right? This is T, this is delta S. So this total area, so I can write this Q1 is equal to T into delta S. This is T, this is delta S. This entire area is heat supplied, okay? Entire area is heat supplied. What about heat rejection? Heat rejection takes place between 3 to 4, okay? Between 3 to 4. So okay, between 3 to 4 heat is rejected, and that that is represented by this area, right? So this area is area of representing heat rejection, which is T naught into delta S, because delta S is same. So T naught into delta S. So Q2 heat rejected is T naught into delta S. So Q1 is T into delta S, Q2 is T naught into delta S. Okay. So and Q1 minus this area, Q1 is entire area minus this area is your available energy, which is maximum work, right? This is work, that means it is available energy. So available energy is Q1 minus Q2. So let me write it here. So available energy is Q1 minus Q2, right? And which, if you compare, look at this, it is nothing but T1 minus T1 into delta S minus T naught into delta S, which is T1 minus T2 into delta S. Please note, Q2 is heat rejected, which we call as unavailable energy, right? So this is your available energy. What is unavailable energy? Unavailable energy is Q2, T naught into delta S. So available energy plus unavailable energy is the total heat supply. So this is the total heat supply of this. This is unavailable. This is available energy. So this is available energy. This is unavailable energy. Right. So far we have introduced. I have introduced the term available energy and unavailable energy. But everything which I have discussed is already known by you. I have already taught to you this. Okay. But now you have understood. So basically, available energy is the maximum work that can be obtained from a given form of energy. If you want to have maximum work, that means you have to run Carnot engine. Okay, so it's a Carnot engine is not a reality, but we are finding out theoretical maximum work. That means available energy. Thank you.